So let's talk about George Floyd, Lieutenant Karen Nazario, Breonna Taylor, and the broken promise of the Fourth Amendment. Because the people's constitutional right against unreasonable searches and seizures, like justice, matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So the Derek Chauvin trial for the murder of George Floyd is ongoing. Today we heard from yet another medical expert witness, this time a cardiologist, actually a heart transplant specialist named Dr. Jonathan Rich. And Dr. Rich testified about George Floyd's cause of death, and it was similar and in fact identical in many respects to what some of the other medical expert witnesses have already told us. Specifically, here's what Dr. Rich testified to today. He said George Floyd died of, quote, cardiopulmonary arrest caused by low oxygen levels induced by prone restraint and positional asphyxia he was subjected to, close quote. Can I translate that? The police officers killed him. Tomorrow we will move into the defense case, and I will try to review the defense witnesses in real time as best I can until the case is submitted to the jury, and we will await their decision. But what I want to do in today's video is just sort of pull the focus back a little bit from just the George Floyd trial. Because in the last 48 hours, we have seen or learned of other tragedies. We've seen an Army lieutenant stopped by two local Virginia police officers, an Army lieutenant named Karen Nazario. We saw him abused, we saw him threatened, we saw him pepper sprayed, we saw him assaulted by those two Virginia police officers. We also learned of another police shooting of an unarmed black man in Minnesota. Reportedly, the police officer mistakenly used her actual gun and shot this young man, intending to use her taser. The 1-year anniversary of the homicide of Breonna Taylor just passed. 1 year later, still no resolution, still no accountability, still no justice. And all of this police excessive force that we have been steeped in for so long brings me back to the basics. And there's nothing more basic than our Fourth Amendment rights. The Fourth Amendment reads in part that the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. Shall not be violated. You know, I teach my criminal justice students at George Washington University that the Constitution builds a wall. It builds a wall between the citizens and the government. It builds a wall between the people and the police. And whether it's the Fourth Amendment's protection, promise, guarantee against unreasonable searches and seizures, or the Fifth Amendment's guarantee against self-incrimination, or the Sixth Amendment's guarantee of the right to assistance of counsel in a criminal trial, it's a wall between the people and the government, designed to protect the people. And nothing is more important than the Fourth Amendment's protection against an unreasonable police seizure. That's where it all starts. What's a seizure? Well, a seizure is when you get pulled over by the police. A seizure is when you get ordered out of your car. A seizure is when you're told to get on the ground. A seizure is when you're handcuffed, arrested, hauled downtown. And we have a constitutional guarantee against an unreasonable seizure by the police. George Floyd had a constitutional right against an unreasonable seizure. Lieutenant Karen Nazario had a constitutional right against an unreasonable seizure. Breonna Taylor, in her home, doing nothing wrong when the police entered and killed her, she had a constitutional right against an unreasonable seizure. How long has this been going on? How long will we let it continue? You know, if we don't start insisting of our federal, state, county government officials that they honor our constitutional rights, first and foremost, against unreasonable police conduct. If we don't speak up, if we don't stand up, you know, maybe we should act up in a good trouble sort of way, peacefully, lawfully. But if we don't speak up and stand up for ourselves and for those who are even more at risk, our African American brothers and sisters, people of color, people whose voices are perhaps not as loud as the voices of others, if we don't start standing up and doing something, we're going to have another George Floyd and another Lieutenant Nazario and another Breonna Taylor. How many more times? We need to insist of our federal, state, county, local government officials that y'all need to do something to honor the guarantee of the Constitution that protects us all. The Constitution that says our right against an unreasonable search and seizure shall not be violated. Because justice matters. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please stay tuned. And I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.